Let's start with your journey, like what your journey has been starting from when you entered the college to till now. What is your journey, and what would you like to tell people about your journey?
First of all, hi everyone, and hi Aman. Thank you so much for having me here today on this platform to talk to, like, share my experience with everyone. If I go a little back to school, so I was not a computer science student. I was a PCMB student, and I was not sure whether I'll going to, I'll become a doctor or I'll become an engineer, and how it's gonna be. So I was like, doing both of these things. And then after like my 12th, I appeared for JE and I just got into engineering, and that is where I started my journey into computer science. So before that, I had no background of computer science at all. And when someone like just goes into college, there were definitely peers who were already familiar with computer science concepts. So it used to be a little intimidating at times, where I felt like I don't know enough or that I need to learn. But I think that was a great starting point where I felt like, okay, there is something for me to learn. And that is how I started, learning programming languages. So I remember the first programming language I learned was C. And
Yeah, yeah.
then from there, I like moved to Java, C++, etc.
Yeah.
So that is how it began for me. And then throughout my college life, I actually got to explore a lot of opportunities inside my college, outside my campus, in different parts of the country, mostly through technical communities. But that has like literally transformed my life, and like it has led me to where I am today.
Yeah, yeah. So the one point that you said, like you explored a lot of things, like you started with C and then joined different communities. So tell me something about that. Like, how do you get into a community? How do you like contribute to that? How you like be a part of a open source community and do all the things that a guy or a girl do? So yeah, tell me about that.
So one thing that I noticed going into college and into communities is that when you learn with a group of like-minded people, your learning becomes exponential, because there are people who are trying to learn the same concepts. They'll have
Correct.
some doubts, you will have some doubts. Maybe you can help them, they can help you. So if you are someone, if you are a student who is struggling to learn something, I would definitely recommend you join a community, so that your learning becomes exponential, and you also have a group of people who are willing to learn, and it just gives you an extra push to pursue what you're trying to pursue. And if you're not sure how to join a community, so first of all, if there is one on a technical community on your campus, you can just go and ask your seniors about it, and they'll guide you how to join it. But if it's not there, then I would say there are a lot of regional communities. If you do not know about them, like, try to join LinkedIn, Twitter, try to see what people are doing, if they're doing
Correct.
some community events, hands-on workshops, uh, just some panel discussions like the ones on Twitter Spaces. So just go and join them, and eventually you'll figure out, okay, what happens in these events. And then if you start attending one, they probably have some servers like Discord server, Telegram group, whatever. Join them, and then they'll keep on posting more about those opportunities there. So that is a great way for you to join these communities if they're not on your campus, or if you want to explore communities outside your campus.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So the one thing that Khushbu said correctly was you have to explore, and if you don't know where to start, you can join any community that is there in your college, and obviously you can ask your seniors. And one point was that you should join LinkedIn. So because it is a great place to connect with people who are in different companies, communities. So you can definitely connect with them and see how what they are doing, how they are doing. So we will discuss about this community and all the other aspects of it a bit later. But I would like to ask you about your internships offer. So how did you get internships? Like you interned with Microsoft as well as Adobe. So what was your experience? And importantly, how did you get that opportunity?
So both of these internship opportunities were ideally on campus for me.
Okay.
But for Microsoft, I was already a part of the CODES program. before I got the internship offers. So it was actually a way for me to actually get to know Microsoft better and also to know what to expect in interviews. So throughout that program, I had a mentor from Microsoft who used to give me coding assignments. And I also had, these sessions where they taught us how to give interviews. They even conducted some mock interviews for us, which actually prepared us for the interviews when Microsoft visited us on campus. So that CODES program that literally helped me in getting my internship at Microsoft because I was prepared. And secondly, for Adobe also, it was on campus. And for Adobe, I was a part of their, I was a winner of their hackathon. Like I was in top 50 from India. And I don't know if that impacted the decision or not, but that was there on my resume for sure. And if I talk about the process, then it was the generic process like it happens for internships on campus. You have a couple of online tests and then you have interviews. So that is how it was for me.
Yeah, great. So it's like with community and being connected to big companies like Microsoft, or like maybe joining any of their programs also helps you in your career and preparing yourself for the interviews that are yet to come, right? And also hackathons are a great way to learn. Actually, you can test your skills, as well as if you get the opportunity, that is icing on the cake. So yeah, these things, like, you have to be quite active. So if you are active and you are a part of various communities, a lot of opportunities will come your way. You don't have to look for them. A lot of opportunities will come your way, and you just have to take the step and start doing what they are suggesting to do. So yeah, that was great. So I would like to know about your interview experience. Like, both your offers are PPOs, right? So
Yes.
yes. So, but I would like you to ask about your interview experience, like how it was. Did you do anything different than others, or what was your preparation like? So, yeah, little bit about that.
Sure. So I think most of the important part in both the interviews was data structures and algorithms. But apart from it, Microsoft also focused on core fundamentals like operating systems, object-oriented programming, and they specifically gave very ambiguous problems. So I had to ask a lot of questions because it was literally very ambiguous. So maybe they were trying to judge if I can break down an ambiguous problem into understandable chunks. And I remember this one round very clearly from my Microsoft internship interview is that the interviewer asked two of us to sit there together and he gave us the same question. And he told us that whoever does it quickly, I'll select you. So that was such a pressure build up. Like it was like we were having a whole day of interviews and then we were like given this pressure test that okay, whoever does it fast and correctly gets selected. So I think, and that was a very ambiguous problem. So I think that was literally a test of your skills as a potential software engineer, that when you're given something in a tight deadline, when you're doing something under pressure, or maybe you're doing something like solving an ambiguous problem, how do you go about it if you ask questions? So I remember I asked a lot of questions, I clarified it, and then it involved a lot of concepts around operating like object-oriented programming, data structures and algorithms. So that is what I remember about it. And at Adobe, I remember that the online test was not just coding, but it was also a lot of other things like logical ability, aptitude-based questions. Then it had puzzles, it had probability-based questions, it has essays. So comprehensive understanding of everything was required for that. There were some debugging questions. So the test was quite long, and I think that was quite a comprehensive test. So after I cleared that, then there were data structures and algorithm rounds. So data structures and algorithms is definitely the bread and butter, but all of these things also come into picture. And if you are going to interview for a specific company, I recommend going through the past interview experiences of other people so that you know what all areas they might touch on. Just helps you prepare better.
Yeah. As you pointed, various things that apart from data, of course, data and structure and problem solving ability is there, and you have to prepare for that. But apart from that, you also have to have development experience, like how do you solve a particular problem? What are the questions that you ask or that you think of? So I think these things can be done in community, as you said, if you're a part of community, or even like if you have 2-3 friends who are all discussing together that how do we go about solving a problem. So as you told your experience, what I learned from that, you will be a part of a team, and how do you work in a team, how do you work on ambiguous problems, These are the things that are required for a good software developer. And yeah, and you have to ask so many questions, because if you are given a ambiguous problem and you are not able to understand it completely, then you will not be able to solve it, at least in a given frame of time. So you have to ask questions, and you should never shy away from asking questions. That I have learned through the hard way. So that I suggest to people that even if it is a silly question, you have to ask. What one of my mentors told me, that questions are never silly, answers are. So you have to ask questions. So please ask questions, whether it is silly or whether it is good, don't think about that. And of course, like, work on the very other aspects of software engineering as well. It's not just you have to do programming, you have to work on various things in life. There will be design, there will be discussions, architectural discussions, all those things will come in picture. But yeah, if your basics are right, if your base is correct, then it will be great. So now moving on to next question, Khushbu, I would like to ask, like, basically many students just message me that what are the resources should I look for, because there are a lot of resources on the internet that are paid or free, that is other thing, but there are a lot of resources. But would you like to suggest some resources to the students who are in college, who can get benefit from those resources, maybe for data structures and other software engineering things? Yeah.
So I would say that if you are someone who is trying to look at questions to practice for interviews, so depending upon the time frame that you have, let me just break it down for you. So if you are someone who is just learning the concepts and needs to learn about different algorithms, or you want to go in depth and study the concepts, then you can refer to Geeks for Geeks if you want to like read and solve questions, and if you want to see company specific questions or questions specific to a particular topic, and you want to understand different approaches of solving the problem ranging from brute force to the most optimized one, Geeks for Geeks is the place for you. But if you are short on time, if you have interviews coming up in, let's say, 3 months, 4 months, then I would say LeetCode should be your go-to resource for practicing questions. There also you can put filters on the difficulty of the questions. I would recommend mostly solving medium and hard questions, because if you are able to solve medium and hard, then you can clear most of the product-based companies if they ask DSA. And secondly, easy questions, so you'll definitely do if you are able to do medium and hard, right? So LeetCode is a really great platform. But then again, people tell me that LeetCode also has like a lot of questions. So if you are even shorter on time, then go for InterviewBit, which has a specific number of questions, and the level of questions is also good enough. So that will help you prepare for interviews. But if you are looking for resources to study data structures and algorithms, then they're abundant of resources. I would just say pick any one, but stick to it, and try to cover all the concepts. So a lot of times, a lot of juniors tell me that I know data structures till trees, but I don't know DP and graph. But that does not help, right? What if you're asked a question on DP or graph? So try to cover the breadth of topics, and then try to make a balance between the breadth and depth of concepts depending on the time you have in hand.
Correct. Yeah. Khushbu, you summed it quite nicely. So depending upon the time you have, so I myself was referring to Geeks for Geeks for everything. So I started with Geeks for Geeks. I was preparing for from Geeks for Geeks. I was looking at all the questions that are being asked by a particular company. So they have all the lists there. So you can definitely refer that. And for practicing, I was using LeetCode and Interview with both. But you can make a decision that how much time you have, and then you can start with that. Because so what I would suggest, it is better to actually practice on LeetCode or Interview bit, because they have the timer there, and in Interview you also have a like time limit. So you have to solve that particular question, so that you will train yourself to actual like in interview like environment. And for interviews, you can do a mock interviews with your friends. That actually helps. Like whether you, if you are a part of community, that will be a part of the process. But if you are not a part of community, then definitely you can ask your friend to take a mock interview. That really helps. So these were some great suggestions by Khushbu, and you guys can check it, and I'll also share the links. So now moving on to communities. As I said, we will talk about it in detail. So you have been a part of different communities like for Microsoft Ambassador also, GitHub, Campus Expert also. So first thing that I wanted to ask, like, how do you know about these opportunities? Like they are there because a lot of students don't even know these opportunities exist. Like if they know, then only they can apply or they can be a part of those groups. So how do you actually know about, like, not these two, but other opportunities as well?
That's a great question. And I think that things have rapidly changed now. But when I was just beginning with my university, like nowadays, there are abundant opportunities. Students are very active on LinkedIn, Twitter,
Correct.
YouTube, and a lot of people also post about these opportunities regularly. But when I was starting out, it was not so common. And how I used to find out, I used to be very active on LinkedIn. So whenever I used to see someone's post about selection, so a lot of times people say that, okay, they post after selection and I do not know, then I can't apply. But what I used to do is that, let's say someone posted about selection, right? I used to go and search about that particular program, like what it requires. Then I would reach out to that person if they can help me understand what it is, whether it aligns with my interests or not, and then how to apply, right? That is one thing I used to do. And then secondly, I think that opportunities follow a domino effect. So it's like you get one and then it leads to another and another and another. So you just have to start somewhere, and then you will find that opportunities come your way. Like people will find you. If you are active, if you go to a community event and you interact with a lot of people notice you, they notice your presence, and then they might come up to you and say that, hey, I'm doing this event, would you like to come there, would you like to speak at this event? And that is how it just goes. Like, so the more active you are, you will get so many opportunities that you will have to pick which one suits your interest.
Correct. Yes. So yeah, so being aware about things first, now things have changed. We are in lockdown or we are at home, doing even working from home. So what you can do, you can definitely join LinkedIn. I have made a, like, I have talked to a bunch of people and they all have suggested to join LinkedIn. So join LinkedIn, ask people questions. You can DM them if they are not busy, they will definitely reply you. And you can check the programs. You can start following the different company pages, that if there are any opportunities that are relevant to you. So all those things you have to take care of, because if you're not active, then you may miss out on some opportunity which will be great for you. So these are the things that I can think of currently, and Khushbu also suggested the same. Now, moving on to one specific, GitHub Campus Expert, I think applications for 2021 is already out now. So I would like to know about that as well, because applications are open. So maybe it will help some students to like know how to prepare for that or how to apply for that and how to get into this program. So can you please in brief explain about that?
Sure. Let me first of all talk in brief what the GitHub Campus Expert Program is about and whether it is something for you or not. So if you are a student leader of a local community, or if you think that there is a local community that you have created or a local community that you want to create, which has some shared struggles, which you think that, you know, you want to solve, or you think that if there was a community for us, then we would not have this particular problem, right? So for example, just to give you an example, a lot of times it happens that you start a community and then people start dropping out. Um, they are not consistent, and it might happen, you might start a community and then you might see that, okay, people are not feeling welcome, or there is some sort of discrimination happening inside and people are not like feeling like it is the best place for them to learn. So if there are any such problems in your community and you want to lead such a community, then the Campus Experts program is for you. It's not like, I know it says GitHub Campus Expert, but it's just a way for GitHub to support your local communities. You do not have to be an expert of Git and GitHub to be a part of it. You like are expected to know the basics of Git and GitHub so that you can, you know, conduct workshops and like train people with open source, but it's not a hard and fast requirement, first of all. And talking about the application process, yes, it's open right now. So it opens twice a year. So if you are someone who is like planning to apply, there are some tips I can give to you. The number one tip is be authentic. Do not copy and paste answers. It is clearly visible that you are copying and pasting, and it does not give the reviewer an idea of what your community is about. Uh, So be authentic. And then secondly, try to give as much detail as possible as compared to less detail, because we are really like looking to read the details that you have out there, and every community is different. So you can like share whatever are the shared struggles of your community, and then mention how being a part of the Campus Experts program will help you actually help your community in a better way, and how it will help the community in general and not just you, right? It's about the community. It's always about the community in this program. And then secondly, focus on the local community. Think of starting small. Don't that I'll build a community of lakhs of people. Like you can do that eventually, but there is somewhere you have to start. So start small. Talk about immediate problems that you see around you, and if possible, get your application reviewed by a former campus expert. They might be able to give you some tips there, and that's all about it. You can find more resources online, and all the best.
Yeah. So these are some of the great tips by Khushbu. She said that you have to think small first. You have to give as much as details. And most important, I learned from what Khushbu said that reach out to people who are already experts, GitHub Campus experts. That is the one of the best suggestions, because whatever you want to do, whether you want to be a software engineer, whether you want to join a company, you reach out to people there who are already there. They will be able to give you most appropriate and authentic advice. So please reach out to them. And uh, all those students who are trying to get into GitHub Campus expert, these are some of the great tips, and all the very best to you. Now moving on to Khushbu, you recently have started like tech interviews simplified, right, for GitHub. So
Yes.
yeah, I saw that you stream on Twitch. So I would like to ask about that. Can you please share with the audience that how they can get benefited and what is your idea behind this? So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I have recently launched a show with GitHub Education, which is called Tech Interviews Simplified. The tagline says it's your guide to acing tech interviews. And the basic idea is that if you know about the interview process and you're prepared for it, then your odds of success are much more, right? This is the basic idea. So throughout the show, I am trying to bring in people from different domains of tech, which is software engineering, product management, research, then startups, or maybe data science, etc. And it is just to give you an idea of what these fields are, how the interview process looks like, and how you can set yourself up for success. And you also get an opportunity to ask questions to the people who will come on the show. So they'll mostly be industry experts who have a lot of years of experience, or who can actually answer your questions about like getting there. So that is the entire idea. The show is streamed live on every Sunday at 7 p.m. IST, and you can tune into it on Twitch channel of GitHub Education.
Yeah, and I'll also share that link as well so that you can check out. She has already uploaded one video, and I think one is coming tomorrow, right? So I'll share
Yes.
this link as well in the description. So yeah, now most of the students like from tier 2 tier 3 colleges, I don't like this word, but that's how it is. So tier 2 tier 3 colleges students, so they definitely ask me about like what, like they are not able to start, like they think that okay, they are from tier 2 tier 3 colleges and they won't be able to do anything, like they themselves, neglect their potential, that okay, even I can do such things. So what is your message to them, how they can get started even if they are in the fresher or in their first year? So yeah.
I would say, first of all, like remove this thought from your mind that you are any less than someone. Nowadays, I think that tier mostly matters in terms of the network of people on your campus and the opportunities you have on campus. It's not about like studying concepts. And these days, everything is online. It's just one Google search away. And if you know what you want to do, you can just search for it. And I would say that it might be harder for you. I like completely agree for that point, but it is not impossible for you to achieve great things. I personally have friends who are from tier 3 colleges. Companies don't visit them on campus, but they don't choose to stop. They like
Correct.
go to community events, they try to find opportunities that interest them, then they try to show their skills on public platforms, like they put their projects on GitHub, they put their accomplishments on LinkedIn, Twitter. They ensure that people know about them, they ensure that they're not restricted, they don't restrict their identity to their college, they make an own identity for themselves by showcasing
Correct.
their work. And when you are
Correct.
able to show quality work, then people do not care which college you are from. If you are
Correct.
able to bring value to the table, then that is all that matters. um,
Yeah.
but if you think that there are like not enough people on campus to guide you, then try to step out and try to reach out to people outside your campus, and that is the best thing that you can do.
Correct, correct. So get this thought out of your head that you can't do anything. First things, because they are less confident what they want to do. So first, what Khushbu, all the points that Khushbu suggested were really great. You need to talk to people. If you don't know what you want to do, join communities, different communities. There are tons of online communities. You don't just have to join. If there are no communities in your college, join online communities. All these communities that we discussed, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn, Twitter. They will definitely help you and showcase your what you are doing. Like, give an update that okay, even if it's a small thing, put that project on GitHub, showcase to the world what you are capable of. People will definitely notice you. It's hard for you because there are no on campus opportunities, we understand. But again, today, like, no one is visiting campus now, right? Because everything is online, so you can showcase your results. So one example I saw on LinkedIn, that there was this guy, I don't remember the name, but he was a graphic designer and he put a great video for Cred. So he put a great graphics, and actually he got a reply from Kunal Shah, who is the CEO of Cred, and he got that internship there. So these are some of the great examples where you can showcase your potential or what you are doing, and you can actually get the offer that you want to. So don't shy away from sharing what you are doing. So these are some of the great things. So now we are going to the end part of our podcast. So these are some of the great things. Khushbu, I would like to ask you, like, so suppose you are a first year student. So what would you do? Like, if you are just starting out in 2021, what are the steps that you will take to ensure that you get a good career in software engineering?
One thing I would like to say that if I was a first year student, like at when we were in our first year, there were no such things as YouTube videos on roadmap for first year. So I would not follow them. Maybe I can just refer to them for guidance, but I would not just be like, okay, I have to do this, this, and this. I would still try to explore all the different areas of
Correct.
interest and then try to see what fits my interest. And I would go and talk to a lot of people. That is
Yeah.
one thing I would do. And
Yeah.
then also I will try to actually start early with the things that I think that I like. Or for example, there's a job out there, let's say the job of a software engineer, and I know that okay, I'll research what it takes to get there, and then I'll start with the first step early.
Correct.
And also I'll join a lot of communities, I'll go and talk to people, and I'll see okay what all is there, and then I'll figure out what is it that interests me and that aligns with my interests. It can be open
Yeah.
source, it can be machine learning, it can be data structures and algorithms, it can be public speaking, it
Anything.
can be
Yeah.
community events, leading hackathons, organizing these things. It can be anything, but just figure
Yeah.
out what interests you and do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So that's a great suggestion, that don't follow any random advice. Of course, you can take the guidance that, okay, these are the things that can be done, but explore what you want. So some people like web development, some people like competitive programming, some people like product engineering. Everything is there. So you just need to explore. And like, how you can do that, you can start early. So you don't think that, okay, I'm in first year, I will enjoy. Of course you enjoy, but also try to explore these things as well, because then only will be able to know that, okay, I like this thing and I will move ahead with this. And if you get to know, you can talk to people, as Khushbu said. And we are consistently saying this one point in our every question and answer, that you have to talk to people, because they are experienced, they have done it, and there are high chances that if you follow their advice, you will also be successful. So please talk to people and don't take any random advice. Just figure out what do you want actually, and then go ahead with that. That is it. These 4 years in your college are for exploration. Please explore all the options, get to know about yourself, what you like, and then go ahead with that. Okay. So now, okay. So one important question I forgot to ask. So, like with your all the experiences with community, with interview experiences, and while you have started working, what is the one thing, or what are the things that uh, good companies look for in a software engineer?
The one thing that they look for is problem solving ability. They're trying to see if you're given a new problem, how would you approach it? And then secondly, they try to see your communication ability, whether you are able to explain your thought process clearly, if you are able to ask questions on ambiguous problems, and then if you are able to completely talk out loud and share your entire thought process so that you and the interviewer are on the same page. And then they try to see if you're curious to learn, because tech landscape is something which is constantly evolving, and it's not like if you know machine learning today and you do not learn something, then you will be able to sustain in the industry for long. So they're trying to see if you're curious to learn and if you are passionate about what you do. So these are all the things that they're trying to evaluate in general.
Yeah, correct. Like Khushbu pointed out, definitely great points, that you have to have curious mind. So you can't be just, so now the landscape are changing like really fast. So you can't be like, okay, I know C, so I will only work on C. I will not work on Java or C++, because you have like all this technology will change, but you have to have that problem solving skill. And apart from that, you should be a very good team player, and you should understand problems. So what are the issue that I faced initially, like while I was in college and initial phases of my career, that I was not able to like say things or explain the interviewer or the people in my team that what I was thinking. Even I knew how to code and what to do, but I was not able to explain it clearly. And that I thought was the mistake I was making. You should be able to do that as well. You can practice by talking to yourself, or maybe talking to your friends, that what you are thinking. And it is one of the best things or suggestions that you can get, that the ability to explain things that you are thinking is very underrated, and you should definitely do that, and you should definitely try that. So thanks, Khushbu. This was a great talking to you, and I really enjoyed, and I hope people will learn so much from this podcast. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me on board. Even I got to learn a lot, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.